animals, like house pets, were put on trial during the Salem witch trials. Can you, before we get into the animal aspect of it, are you able to give us like a little bit of a primer on what the Salem witch trials were?
Yeah, I mean, we're not far from the heart of it right now, where we're at right now. By the way, I know you felt bad because you had some personal things to attend to today, and so we're running late on the show. I've had a great time. I've ate 4 bowls of clam chowder in the less than 24 hours I've been here. I've been walking all around downtown Portsmouth, just soaking on all the New England quaintness in. So I've had a great time while I've been out here.
It's such a cool place. That's what I'm excited about with this show is like, somebody like you that comes in from out of town, getting to see this really awesome little corner of America that's just chock full of Americana.
Yeah. And this is America old too. Yeah. Like this, I mean, by the standards of Europe or the Middle East or East Asia, it's not that old. But by American standards, we're in like ancient arena.
Yeah. It's, I mean, if you can't afford a trip over to Europe, then, Portsmouth's not too far off as far as the vibe goes.
Yeah. Good colonial American vibe.
Yeah. We all still speak English here though. So, but let's be honest, most of Europe speaks English too. So
yeah. Yeah, it's like a New England English,
Yeah, they drop their R's a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. You know what? But that goes to the Salem witch trials. A lot of people think that it was a uniquely American phenomenon that happened.
I was under that assumption.
No. Actually, it was way worse in Europe. It was mainly it started in the modern Britain. I don't remember specifically if it started in England or Scotland, but it spread pretty much throughout that entire island, and probably went into Ireland a little bit too. But I think by the end of it, in what's the modern UK, I think there was up to like 50,000 people that were killed. So we basically inherited something that was already going on in Northern Europe.
Well, typical of us that, we're always late to the European trends.
Yeah. But they had their whole set of Puritans too. And obviously our Puritans caught wind of what was going on. They got on the train. Our death toll was nowhere near Europe's. But yeah, it started in Europe kind of the same way that it started. Well, the same way it started here in the United States. It was teenage girls having sightings of things, and it just kind of snowballed and escalated from there into hysteria and a lot of death and carnage. And when you have religious leaders that have not just a social stranglehold on communities, but political stranglehold on communities, then they weren't exactly the most fair trials.
No,
but it started here with a couple of teenage girls who thought that they saw something, and then we know in hindsight that their parents were feuding with the people that they accused. And
see, that's the interesting thing about the Salem witch trials is whether it was this way throughout that period, definitely significant periods of the Salem witch trials could just be defined as like really brutal, a brutal interpretation of swatting somebody.
Yeah.
Like go and accuse that person of a witch and watch them burn at the stake.
That's
like
one of the most famous cases during the Salem witch trials was the case of Giles Corey, who, the sheriff they accused him of being a witch. He refused to admit to it. They started pressing him, which they basically they laid him down. They started adding weight, like rocks and stones, to his chest. And every time they'd be like, "Are you going to confess?" He'd just say, "More weight." And they eventually crushed him to death.
And at first it's like, it probably felt incredible. You're working out the kinks.
Yeah,
first
right.
couple of stones. And then you cross that threshold. And I can't breathe all that well.
Tough old bugger too. I think he was close, if not 80 years old when that was happening.
Wow.
And they were basically picking on an elderly man whose land they wanted, because shortly after he died, the sheriff also then accused his wife of being a witch. She dies, and now the sheriff took over the land.
Weird how that works.
Weird how that works, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of cases too where they're just, some guy thinks his wife is cheating on him. She's a witch. Or,
right.
I don't like my neighbor. She's a witch. And I think it disproportionately affected women, obviously.
Yes.
And it definitely was something that
young girls,
yeah, I mean,
who are also the accusers.
Thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting. I didn't know that it started with 2 young girls, because it ended up, again, disproportionately affecting women out of the whole deal. But yeah, kind of, yeah, like you said, just happened just down the road from here. I've been to Salem during the kind of Halloween times before. I think social media has turned it into just absolute craziness there if you try to go now. But I went 7-8 years ago before, for around Halloween time, not like on Halloween, but around that time. It was awesome. The town definitely embraces their history. There's a whole museum you can go to. It definitely attracts a lot of what I would just generically call weirdos.
Yeah. A lot of people who like to listen to Stevie Nicks and they're wearing black all the time.
Yeah. And people that full on are like, yes, I practice witchcraft. Yes, I like full on people that are there because they think that this is like the spiritual center of witchcraft and all that other stuff,
which is such a typical American thing, thinking that the center of a concept like witchcraft revolves around a town in the United States.
Yeah, exactly. We definitely were not the first people to be it gets, I mean, that's only I don't know, 45 minutes away from here. And it wasn't just the Salem witch trials. Actually, the trials took place in Salem. The accusations were from surrounding towns. Salem just happened to be where the courthouse was that these were tried. Which I don't think a lot of people realize, including the modern day witches that go to Salem.
Right. Cotton Mather was kind of he was the presiding judge over all that stuff. Also a local religious leader, so I feel like there's a little conflict there. You're not exactly getting a good They called it and I might butcher this. Spectre evidence, I think, is what they called it, but it's basically which is obsolete now, but it was the idea that spirits and ghosts and whatnot it was intertwined with the justice system of the time. It was very.
And people have to remember, this was in current day United States. United States did not exist for another almost 100 years.
We were still operating off of English law.
I was going to say, there was no constitution. There was no.
We as Americans also, we think like we invented, some people are naive enough to think we invented democracy, but like our system has really just evolved from the British system, which,
it made good improvements.
We took the wigs off.
Yeah, we took the wigs off, and the Magna Carta was obviously a huge evolution in sort of the way humans govern themselves. But, the U.S. Constitution then takes it probably a step further, gets it more close to what would be more modern, acceptable. Of course, there's notable exceptions there around like, women and anybody that wasn't white basically wasn't seen equally under that, despite what the Constitution says about everybody being equal.
We were keen on the gun thing too.
Yeah, keen. Yeah. I love every time I see like SNL, it feels like they cover this every 10 years or something of like, oh, so the second most important one was the guns, huh?
Guns.
Yeah. Like right out. And I love the way people frame it. It's like, yeah, if you're going to give people absolute freedom of speech, you need to give everybody else guns to keep everybody honest. I love that. But yeah, it's funny too, because we're in this old part of the country here where this was where the country was born. The Declaration was signed in Philadelphia, but the Boston Tea Party happened right down the road here.
Which was a couple years before everything really went down.
And
are we getting broken into right now, Marty?
No, I don't think so.
Because I got 2 guns right here, baby.
The Lexington and Concord too, right around, just outside of Boston there. I've never done like the proper tour and all that sort of stuff, but there's all sorts of stuff. It's cool. And it leads to, and this is the interesting part about doing a Halloween episode up here, is it leads to people generally feeling that there's a lot of spookiness up here.
Yeah. By American standards, this is a very old place.
Yeah, creepy sort of place. And it's also, you got the Salem witch trials up here. You've got, Sleepy Hollow, which we'll get to later. You've got these other things that are around here that I think just kind of creep people out a little bit. And I think that there was it was among one of the first claimed UFO abductions happened up in Maine.
That doesn't surprise me at all. Some logger or something like that.
Yeah. I forget the exact story now. I heard it on another podcast. So I don't have all the details, but yeah. But anyways, we should get to like, cats and dogs.
Cats and dogs. Right. And livestock, wild birds, they were accusing any animal they could see. But as far as I know, the only ones that went on trial were the cats and dogs.
During the Salem witch trials.
Because the animals, specifically the cats and dogs, were, again, this is old 17th century speak right here, but they were called familiars, which means that a demon or the devil could possess an animal. And basically when they started, turning their sights on the animals, the fear came from the animal acting erratic, the dog was puking. Uh-oh, he's possessed. No, the dog is a dog. It probably got into some bad trash or something like that.
There's a lot of weird mushrooms that grow around here.
Yeah. And there's also a lot of I live in San Antonio, Texas, so you actually still see it to this day, unfortunately, but a lot of superstitions around black cats specifically. Yeah. And that goes all the way back to Europe, the superstitions about
Egyptian times even. There's a lot of mythology around cats.
Yeah, and black cats in particular, unfortunately, get a bad rap because of just old superstition. That's what happened during the Salem witch trials. So as far as I know off the top of my head, 2 dogs went to trial. Mm-hmm. Oh, actually, no. Let me rephrase. A bunch of dogs went to trial. A lot of them were acquitted.
Oh, good for them.
Yes.
Solid attorneys, I imagine.
Yes. Good representation there. Although I feel like a dog compared to a cat, stereotypically is like considered kind of a naive, dumb animal, where I feel like a dog would be taking a public defendant, where a cat would absolutely invest in some good representation.
Yeah.
And that showed out in the Salem witch trials because none of the cats were convicted. Quite a few went on trial, but they couldn't convict the cats. Dogs got convicted, unfortunately, though. One dog was shot and killed, and then another one was formally hung.
They hung the dog.
Yeah. Well, he was convicted. He was a convicted demon.
Yeah. I almost wonder, they have like tougher necks than us and stuff. I don't feel like I feel like that was probably a slow death for that dog, not a quick.
You hear the sound a dog makes when you step on its poor tail, right? Mm-hmm. That yelp. Can you imagine trying to?
Oh man, everybody in that village had PTSD after that one.
A screaming dog.
Yeah.
Oh god.
And that was the only dog that was hung.
As far as I know, yeah. They shoot him and everything like that too.
Well, checks out though. They were like, after that first one, they're like, yeah, not again. Stick to the shotgun.
There was a guy named Bradstreet who was the son of the governor who got caught up in all that, and he was accused of, people say they saw him riding a dog around at night. That was another thing that these familiars, these possessed animals would do, is the human witches would ride them around at night. Well, they accused Bradstreet of people said they saw him riding a dog at night, and he caught wind of that, and he already knew the hysteria that was going on. I was like, I'm out of here. You people are nuts. He jumped out of town and laid low. Like I said, his dad was the governor of Massachusetts. He fled town and laid low till everything calmed down because he saw how nuts these people were.
True hysteria.
Like we still have it to this day in different forms.
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah. What are some contemporary examples? What would be the modern Salem witch trial?
There was the heavy metal mania that happened in the 80s.
Yep.
This is the tough thing with current events. People are in it right now, right? Yep. So they're in their hysteria, so it's really hard to convince them otherwise.
Marijuana, reefer madness, which
we're still...
Yeah, I was going to say that's still kind of contemporary. It feels like we're on the backside of that, probably, where people are starting to see how, it also depends on what part of the country you live in, too, right. I think. But I think we're on the backside of that one, to where people are looking back and are like, oh, this whole hysteria was kind of manufactured.
Right.
There's a couple of good documentaries out there, and... Yeah, that's one. Heavy metal. And they kind of popularized that in recent Stranger Things seasons, where they kind of allude to how people that were into heavy metal were directly associated with demonology,
right?
Satan worshiping. To be honest, they didn't do themselves a lot of favors to dispel that notion.
No, I mean, but that was part of the genre.
Was the culture. Yeah,
that was the genre was to be dark and mysterious and
Ozzy Osbourne, the Prince of Darkness,
right?
You know?
Yeah,
may he rest in peace.
Yeah,
and what else? I think even there was a thing around Dungeons and Dragons for a while there too. If you were a kid that was into Dungeons and Dragons,
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
You know, I think that was one of them too. But yeah, it's interesting, and you do see. I can only imagine what the Salem witch trials would have been like today with social media, and the amount of misinformation, disinformation, all that. Like, you know. Basically, everybody goes through a publicity trial before they get to actual trial.
Right.
And there was a form of that going on back then with town gossip and everything like that. But can you imagine now today with TikTok and Instagram, and you got podcasters that are like, look at this fucking guy.
And everybody's getting paid to have an opinion, and the truth really doesn't matter.
And then influencers are getting hired to have a certain opinion by one side or the other. And then everybody's accusing each other of lying. But in the meanwhile, there's like people... You know, probably not getting hung. They're probably going to prison.
Yeah.
You know, is what I would guess.
Well, I mean, just think about all the people that have, it's that old Johnny Cash lyric, you know, I wear it for the poor and beaten down, the ones that...
I love that song.
Yeah. But I wear it for the people who are a victim of their time. I mean, think about how many people spend a considerable amount of time in prison for low cannabis charges. You know?
Yeah. Literally just simple possession charges.
Yeah.
And there's other crazy. I mean, I feel like that's a whole other episode is crazy things people did hard time for or were executed over that were later exonerated. I think about this often. We've got a pretty good justice system in America
compared
as a
to the
system.
Rest of the world.
Exactly. Compared. Is there a lot of room for improvement? Yes.
And that also, it's like, that's reflective of the society, then the lawmakers. So, I mean, there's people in there for dumb reasons, but that's more reflective of society and lawmakers than it is, you know, other things.
Yeah, it's...
we're dumb society.
I was going to say...
we have our moments.
Yeah, we get a lot of things right, but the things that we get wrong, they're doozies.
That's what happened with the Salem witch trials. It did not take long afterwards.
Yeah, so when did things start to...
Within a decade, better sensed people were like, this was messed up.
But that's wild, though. Like, a decade of this? Like, you think like a year in, somebody would have looked around and been like, hey, guys, this is kind of cuckoo.
There were those people. I would deduce that the majority of people were level-headed, but when you have a large group of people that are in hysteria and have lost their minds, it is hard to quell the masses. I mean, it was within a decade after it was over, they were exonerating people. They were people that had put to death, people that were incarcerated, people that had just been simply accused and convicted, but they didn't do anything to them. They were like, oh yeah, sorry about our bad. Yeah. But it's because they let religious leaders kind of run those trials, which is, again, that's not an issue we have to deal with as much these days. Yeah.
What do you when you think back to a 1692 New Englander, what do you think that they would claim to notice with these animals in order to trigger an accusation?
Like I said, it was just a dog being thrown up, being sick. Yeah. It's you know that noise at 2 a.m, the dog.
Yeah.
It was just a dog being sick, or a dog barking at another dog, or a dog barking at something in the middle of the night outside of the window. Oh, the dog's possessed. I'm like, no, the dog saw a cat walk by, or the dog saw a person, or
what were the cats doing to get accused?
Being cats. Just looking shifty.
Yeah.
I mean, they
victim of stereotyping.
I'm not a superstitious guy. I don't think I inherently don't think cats are evil, but sometimes I look at a cat and like, what the hell's going on in that little creature's head right now? That thing's plotting.
Yeah. It's they're, like I said, they're shifty.
Yeah.
They're shifty.
But again, as far as I know, none of the cats were convicted.
But
they were put on trial.
Yeah. I want. Do you know if there's any legal records of what the something like an opening argument was for or against a cat or a dog. Like, I wonder if there's legal records that could be dug up that say how these things went and like the inevitably preposterous things that were said during the course of these, the ones that actually went to trial.
Well, the first dog that was shot, I think it was Cotton Mather himself, who was like kind of the head of the whole BS. After the fact, shortly after the fact, he's like, actually, I determined this dog was not possessed. Well, you guys killed him anyway, so yeah. Man,
and somebody's dog.
It's just somebody's dog.
Somebody's dog.
And I don't think they treated household pets like we do these days, but that dog did serve a purpose. And now the family's out a guard dog or a cattle dog or whatever that dog was being used for. And but again, they were going after the pigs and the cows and crows. Wild birds were accused of witchcraft because they saw them flying, which is what birds are supposed to do.
Yeah, and I suppose like crows, largely because of Edgar Allan Poe, but like crows, again, things that are black in general get associated, black cats, black crows.
With darkness and all the evil spirits and all that.
Yeah, black bears kind of get a pass, though. I don't think anybody.
Black bears will fight back.
Yeah. Black bears they're pretty lovable. Yeah. Not nearly as dangerous as a grizzly bear or a polar bear.
I'm not an expert on bears. You should get a bear expert on the subject matter.
Oh, that'd be interesting. The general wisdom around here, let's see if I can get this right. If it's black, fight back. If it's brown, lay down.
Yep.
If it's white, good night.
Oh, I haven't heard that third part, but from what I ever understand with the polar bears, you're not going to survive that. You're not going to
survive that one.
Yeah.
That would be interesting to get on here, though, especially because both me and my brother have hilariously and unsuccessfully attempted to hunt black bear ever since we've moved up here. It's not worked out. So maybe if we learned something about the animal, maybe it would be a little bit more successful.
Get in its head so you can hurt it.